Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl, Grace Story, and I am back with a whole new podcast episode. Today we are reading some more of Reddit's craziest updates and just finding the new ones, finding the ones that everybody's talking about, getting the tea, and just talking about it. If you are new here, I read pretty much only update stories. They usually have a theme, but recently we've just been doing the ones that are hot right now and getting a lot of comments and stuff on Reddit. If that's your thing, definitely don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, whatever the term is on whatever platform you're listening or watching on. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hype. It's totally free. Takes half a second. I believe you get like 3 hypes a week. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump on into today's podcast episode. I'm Grace Story, and you're listening to That Girl the Podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. My 22 female boyfriend, 21 male, has a marriage material best girlfriend, female 20, which I find to be odd. How do I approach this? My boyfriend has an extremely close girl best friend who has been in a relationship with her boyfriend for 2+ years. We've been dating for 8 months. I've always accepted and actually liked his best friend, but I can't help shake the feeling off that this is an unhealthy connection for me and my boyfriend. He was very reluctant to introduce me to her and prefers that we don't hang out all together. I get it, you could want some alone time with your bestie. The thing is, he doesn't want me around her that much, but does not mind our common friends spending time with her as a group. Claims that she is marriage material and that she is the best person ever. Okay, fine. There was a time when they were not in relationships, and he claims that he made her get back together with her ex, and they're still dating. On my birthday, when we just started dating, we had a romantic dinner, but after we parted, he went on to meet up with his bestie and her boyfriend. I, alas, was not invited. The same thing happened on Valentine's Day. Also, if we are, for example, in the shopping mall, he would rather hang out with her one-on-one first than maybe invite me over at the end of the shopping expedition. The thing is, why doesn't the girl's boyfriend say anything? Why would I have to say something after all the relationship is older? What do I do? Yeah, this is really weird. He is not beating the allegations of like, this isn't weird. The fact that why is the boyfriend allowed to go and you're not? Like, if it is one-on-one, like, why does her boyfriend get to go? I don't think it should be like that at all. Like, why are you specifically being singled out? I don't like it. Top comment says you are plan B until this woman and her boyfriend break up. But let's jump in to the update from 11 days later. I finally dumped him over text. I would normally do it in person, but I did not want to be gaslighted again. After he literally changed our whole group activity plans because of his quote-unquote marriage material best girlfriend and proceeded to yell at me for not hanging out with him because I had prior plans which I invited him to as well. He tries to gaslight and manipulate me, and I'm not taking this anymore. He is absolutely in love with her, and I hope one day he can come to terms with his feelings and just leave me alone. I'm not a side piece or seat filler. Thank you for all your feedback. Well, that answers that question. That's another thing is why would he tell her like, oh, she's perfect. Oh, she's the best. Oh, she's marriage material. Like, okay, you can think that about your bestie, but those are inside thoughts. Like, you don't need to tell your partner. So, top final comment is, does she know he considers her marriage material? She's 20. She's probably ready to go off to college and get on with her life, not be mom on his future kids. So OOP did respond and say, hey, thanks for your comment. Yes, she does in fact know that he calls her this because they were the one who brought it up as we were sitting with her, her sister, my ex, and myself. That's extremely weird. I'm wondering if she told the bestie, like the girl bestie told the guy bestie that she wants to go like explore in college, and then maybe down the road, like it's one of those, well, if I'm not married by 30, where like she's trying to let him down. That was a pretty, I think we unanimously can agree who's in wrong here. But that was one to just get us started. Now let's hop into another one. New neighbors got their dream party house. And I'm pissed. I live in a house on a secondary road in a city, so it isn't a super quiet neighborhood. However, there's kind of a designated party neighborhood about a mile away from us, but we've always been outside the radius. Our new neighbors are now bringing us into the circle. They've only been here for 2 weeks and have already thrown 3 parties with people screaming outside, loud music, and cars coming and going until 6 a.m. The non-party nights are only marginally better, with fewer cars, but just as much screaming and music. The worst part is the outside noise is unpredictable and short-lived, so we're woken up at all hours of the night. and magically, it all falls outside what the police would investigate as a noise disturbance. Just today, they started parking cars on our yard, which I was not having. I went over and started taking pictures of license plates to start documenting the cars and where they were parked, because there's a clause in our lease about loud parties and quiet enjoyment. Some people came out of the house carrying a bunch of beer saying, "Oh, is there a problem? If there's a problem, just let us know." And I went off on them. So they moved their car. There's also plenty of street and alley parking available. God knows why they decided parking on someone else's yard was preferable. But for the last hour, it's been constant slamming doors. Their house is about 15 feet from ours, so they're small city lots, and yelling about random stuff. Has anyone else successfully dealt with a party house? What kind of documentation was useful when talking to the landlord or police? We have the type of landlords who really don't want to be involved with problems because that means work. Or should there be like sabotage afoot? So Josh lived in the frat party house in college. My house, the back half, like me and my friends lived in, the front half was a party house, for a different frat. In college, like, even now, honestly, we lived in a neighborhood in before we moved here where there was quite a bit of parties. Our neighbors threw a lot of parties, and they weren't like this. There wasn't screaming. But I've never been bothered by it. Maybe if I had like a baby, it would bother me, but I don't really get bothered by like sound. So again, like that's just my personal experience. So I've never really been bothered by this. I will say, I mean, unless I missed it, their first conversation with them about it is you just going off. Like you literally, the first thing you did was just go off on them. And I get that it's frustrating, but when you take it from 0 to 100, it just makes tensions high. And if they're young, you're probably just going to piss them off and they're going to be like, "Oh, that old Karen next door." I feel like the parking in the grass is definitely wrong and they are a-holes for that. But I always am of the opinion that when you come at it with aggressive energy, you're going to be met with aggressive energy. So maybe come at it, even though you're frustrated, with more of like a calm-headed, like, "Hey, we're buddies, like, what are we doing?" approach. Especially because you said like the landlord doesn't care, then that just tells me, and it's in a city, it sounds like it's a college party house. And like new people moved in and they're like, "We're gonna make this a party house." Because for whatever reason they couldn't find one. Maybe they were trying to rent and they all of the leases were signed. But that's just what it sounds like to me. Let's read the update. I posted a year ago about our terrible new neighbors who partied hard 3 times a week on the regular. That again is what makes me think like college, because it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're all like party nights. Throwing trash, loud music, screaming outside at 3 a.m., and most egregiously parking their various cars on our lawn. The update is a good one. I started documenting and complaining to the city about the noise. Then I started leaving dog poop on the driver's side doors of cars when they parked on my lawn. Dude, all of this to avoid a conversation is crazy. Like, who's the adult here? I picked up trash they threw and wedged it between their side mirror and the car door. They could be responsible for any lawn damage for sure, and you can pursue that with them. But you could be responsible for any damage to their car as well. So that's why I'm against any sort of like that. They were upset by this and tried to confront me, but ultimately stopped parking on our yard. Instead, they started parking on the sidewalk, like literally horizontally parallel to the street, pulled onto the sidewalk. This proved to be their downfall. More people complained about that because it's an accessibility issue, especially being a main secondary street. The businesses down the street complained too because of the noise and litter. It quickly snowballed into multiple people complaining to both the city and the landlord. Well-known slumlord in the city. Okay, yeah. The litter, yeah. Okay. What I don't understand is, why didn't you just have a car towed? That's, like, that would have solved it. Nobody's cars would have gotten damaged. Nothing would have gotten... You could have just had, like, 2 cars towed and been like, "There's a car in my lawn." And then they would have come and towed it. Okay? Like, that's what... I feel like you should have gone that way, and then they would have known, be like, "Hey, don't park there. Like, this lady will tow your car. This man will tow your car." You're obviously not worried about if they like you or not, so why not just tow their car? I don't know. A couple months later, the people weren't given the option of renewing their lease because they were getting too close to nuisance house status and promptly removed. And then the landlord put the building up for sale because those people had completely trashed it, so none of the business owners bought it and knocked it down. No more party neighbors ever again. Moral of the story, be the squeaky wheel and find the pressure point that will make other people care. Someone commented and said, dun dun dun, wants that empty lot next door to become? And I was kind of thinking that too. And OOP said the business owner is planning to plant some trees and make it a green space. When talking with him, he seemed pretty pleased to finally have gotten rid of that house and all the noise that came with it, so I don't think anything will be built there for at least 5 to 10 years. I did say also that house had at least a 5-year history of bad tenants that all had their leases non-renewed. Okay, OOP does have more context. It mostly escalated to the dog poop because I asked them twice nicely, face to face, and they said, oh yeah, no problem. And then the next day, they do the same thing. So I figured, well, if they're going to claim some of my property as theirs, I should give them the joys of having dogs living on the property. I just think that if someone asked you nicely not to trespass twice and gave a reason, the weight of the car was severely denting our lawn when we were already having drainage issues, you'd stop. So in my mind, you don't respond to a carrot, I'll give you the stick. There's one time a guy was exiting the house while I was placing poop. He saw me as he came to get in the car, still stepped in the poop, and then asked, why would you do that? I said, this is my yard, right? He nodded. And I asked you twice not to park here. I'm being kind, not having your car impounded. Immediate deer in the headlights look. That was the last time it happened, and it felt satisfying. Top comment is, imagine being such bad neighbors, the entire neighborhood wants you gone. And then the response to that is, when I was in college, my boyfriend was in a fraternity. Our college didn't have Greek housing, so the frats would typically have a group of guys rent a house that they designate the unofficial frat house. For 2 years, my boyfriend lived in said house. It's been almost 20 years, and I still feel bad for their neighbors and landlord because they once had a party with a baby pool full of Kentucky for KY. Am I old? What is KY? Dude, I went to college. I should know what KY is. Am I dumb? For Jello wrestling, and I doubt they ever got it off the walls. KY. As someone who lives in Kentucky, I'm just thinking KY. Like, I'm thinking that's what that means. Someone did say KY in the kiddie pool, WTF. Like, babes, you could have bought actual Jello for so much cheaper. What were they thinking? Oh. Someone responded and said what it is. Wow, okay. I'm blushing. Yikes. Anyway, it's okay. Yeah, obviously the neighbors are the a-hole, but I do think that you could have just, in my opinion, towing the car would have been less of an a-hole thing than, like, the dog poop. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm a stickler, but I just feel like that's the route you should have gone. But yeah, let's read another one. My ex-best friend, 25 female of 10 years, wants me, 25 female, to forgive her for sleeping with my exes, plus a 3-year update. So my ex-best friend, let's call her Andrea, was my best friend for 10 years. We're at a party. I brought my fiance of a year with us. We're about 5 to 8 drinks in, and everyone's feeling it. I went off to go talk to another friend while Andrea and my fiance sit at a table on the outside deck. I go back about 15 minutes later, and my fiance tells me he needs to talk to me discreetly after she gets up and walks away. He tells me she asked him, why her? Why does everyone always go for her? Why does no one go for me? And then proceeds to say, would you ever date me? Now, in the moment, I don't know if I fully believed him. About a year later, I've been broken up with my fiance for about 3 months. I started hooking up with another guy I had known. We'll call him Colby. One night I threw a party and it got kind of crazy. I was not feeling well and was in the bathroom. While I was in the bathroom, Andrea was all over Colby. Someone had told me later that night. And as I was on Snapchat posting stuff, she takes a pic with Colby and is basically on top of him and sticking her tongue out. She sends it to me while I am on my phone. I really didn't think much of it. Oh, girl, you are giving her the benefit of the doubt, but she's either in love with you or she wants to be you. That's always how these end up. 2 weeks later, a mutual friend says Andrea is sleeping with Colby and that she slept with another ex of mine after we had broken up. I messaged her and asked her, are you sleeping with Colby and did you sleep with other ex? She plays it off like she has no idea what they're talking about and says she would never do that to me. I asked, are you sure? If you like him, just be honest so I can stop wasting my time on Colby. And then starts gaslighting me and asking, why would I believe mutual friend? I didn't push it after that because I didn't want to start a fight with her. One night, I looked at Snap Map and it showed Colby and Andrea in the same location, and I knew it in my gut. I expected it from a guy, but not from my best friend. I asked again, she blew up and finally admitted it after gaslighting me for 3 weeks. Then tried to make me out to be the bad guy, saying, "You always make everything about you, and you guys weren't even in a real relationship," and a bunch of other crappy things. Yeah, I know these relationships all too well. I'm calling it now, guys. I get into a relationship with Tyler. A few weeks later, I stupidly forgive her. 7 months later, me and Tyler take a break. We all attended a party together, and I see her flirting with him, and flashbacks of Kobe came back. And long story short, we fought again and didn't talk for a very long time. A year later, I've moved out of state, and she's in a relationship with Tyler and is pregnant with his child. I now know all of my feelings were right. I mean, her last 3 relationships were all of my exes. Another year later, she says she misses me and is sad I moved out of state and doesn't apologize for anything. I told her I don't hold grudges, but I don't think I can fully ever be friends with her again. Update: I've blocked and removed her on everything. Should have been done sooner, but what's done is done, and I've learned my lesson. That's just the first update. So let's jump into the update from 3 years later. Hey everyone, I randomly came back across this post after not thinking about it for a long time and figured I'd give a real update since a lot has changed. It's been over 3 years since everything went down with Andrea, Colby, and Tyler. After I made my original update, I fully stuck to cutting Andrea off, and I've kept her blocked with no contact ever since. It was honestly one of the best decisions I've made for my peace of mind. So the actual update on the situation. Andrea ended up staying with Tyler for about a year, and as I told you all before, had a baby together. That relationship eventually fell apart after Tyler cheated on her, and shortly after their breakup, he even tried reaching out to me again, which I obviously didn't entertain. After all of that, Andrea is now with Colby. Yes, the same Colby from my original post. So basically, she ended up in a long-term situations with both of the main people involved in all of this. As for me, I stayed in the relationship I moved out of state for. We've now been together for years, and things are amazing. We're truly building a life together, both settled into careers, and we've been talking seriously about the future. And we're trying for a baby. Yay! Looking back, I don't really feel anger about it anymore. It was painful at the time, but it also made it very clear who I could and couldn't trust. Mostly, I feel far removed from who I was when I wrote the original post. I was constantly trying to make sense of people who weren't treating me with basic respect and don't live in that space anymore. What do you think? Did I make the right decisions all those years ago? I think I did. If anyone remembers this from years ago, thanks for reading and giving advice, and thanks again now. Top comment says, "Good for you, just don't introduce him to Andrea." Just kidding. They're also getting married the beginning of next year. They said that in a comment. But yeah, these types of people, I think the only thing I would do differently is cut her off sooner. And I know when you're young, you just don't think like that, and everyone's perfect, and these are like your found family, and they would never hurt you. But looking back at it, maybe a little bit more jaded, I would say cut these people off, because it's just, she's going to keep doing it, and you're just going to keep going in circles until you finally do it. Someone did say I would have not stopped myself from claiming relationships with all sorts of people to see how far Andrea would go. Oh, that's true. True. Another comment responded to that and said, "Seriously, in that position, you could provide a service to anyone you know who's like, 'Man, I can't get a girl to look at me.' Really? No dates in 3 years? How do you feel about someone who might be toxic? Oh, you're cool with that? Great. Come to one party with me as my date, and I'll introduce you to Andrea. She might even hook up with you at the party." And then the response to that says, "Bonus if they actually have stuff in common with Andrea. If she sticks with someone, perhaps she'll leave OP's next partner alone." And a bunch of people are thinking that OP should have done that. I, again, just cut her off, but that would be fun little petty revenge as well. And I miss that. So I kind of give my stamp of approval on that one. My 31 male, pregnant girlfriend, 23 female, has been lying about her age for our entire relationship. Is there a way for me to trust her again? And I clocked that immediately. I'm glad that that's in the title, because, yeah, what, 8 years? 8-year difference? My girlfriend and I have been together for a little over a year. When we met, I was 30, and she said she was 25. I'm 31 now, and she's been pretending to be 26 for about 4 months, which is still a 5-year age gap, but I feel like when you hit like mid-30s, or mid-20s, like early 30s, it's not as bad. You know, you got that frontal lobe. Things are a little bit more settled in. There's a huge difference. We literally celebrated what she said was her 26th birthday, and she referred to it as her 26th birthday. She's 10 weeks pregnant, but she found out a month ago. She only told me about it not even 3 weeks ago because she was supposedly nervous about my reaction. She was on birth control, whatever the ring is that is inserted. I know she's been truthful about that because I've seen it, and it's even come out of her by accident before. Yeah, I've heard those aren't super duper reliable. I never went that route, so I'm not sure the like math on like that, like what percentage of good it is. It's been a long time since I was on birth control, so I honestly can't remember. But yeah, they do pop out, and like if they move at all, like it's not good. So you do whatever's best for you. I know there's certain reasons why people are on certain things, but I would research the rate of like what is it, conception? Is that what it's called? And like how good each birth control is, and if that's something you want to risk. I'm not sure about us having a kid right now. We've been together a year and we don't even live together. She spends most of her time at my place, but she doesn't actually live here. I guess I also took the risk by not using condoms, but I've been in other relationships where we've just relied on birth control and it was fine. Dude, it just takes one time. This is like, really? Really? It was fine, guys. I mean, it was fine. No. Sorry. It just really bothers me when people act surprised when, like, the human body does what human bodies do. I know accidents happen, but, like, you were taking the risk. So why are we confused? I do use condoms. It's just that after we'd been together a while, we decided we were comfortable enough to just use the birth control. I'm nervous about the idea of us having a baby, and I told her I wasn't sure a relationship of a year is really the ideal stable thing to be bringing a baby into. And she's been saying she knows, but she just doesn't think she can't not have it, and cries. It makes me feel bad. I'm not trying to leave this all on her, and I will take responsibility. That's not really what this is about. She usually talks on the phone on speakerphone. She walks around holding her phone with it on speaker like they do on all the reality shows so you can hear everything being said. Hey, it's not just on reality shows. I do that too. I find it really annoying. Do you find it annoying or do you find her annoying? I feel like I'm just like getting a lot of red flags. I know I'm interjecting a lot, but like you're 31, she's 23, but you thought she was older, and you're the one who doesn't feel sure about having a baby. And you're saying that her talking on the phone, like something that she's done probably your entire relationship, is really annoying. Like, red flags. A couple of red flags here. Not that like 31-year-olds have to be ready to have babies. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like between the two of you, like you're the one that's panicking. Interesting. I think that you're more panicked about her than you are about having the actual baby. I don't want to listen to her full conversation she has with people. She was talking to her mom and sort of stressing out about being pregnant, and her mom said, "I can't believe you're going to have a baby at 23. You're too young," or something along those lines. All I heard was the 23 part. I was like, wait, WTF? I sat there silently waiting for her to get off the phone, and then I immediately asked her why her mom said she was 23. She just looked at my surprised face like she didn't know what to say, and I don't even think she registered that her mom had said that when I was right there hearing the whole thing. Your own mom doesn't get your age wrong by 3 whole years. She looked annoyed and also like she was going to cry, and said she was really 23 and that she only lied because she found out my age first and thought I wouldn't take her seriously if she told me she was 22. She was 22 when we met, and at that 26th birthday we celebrated was really her 23rd. I just stared at her for the longest time because I don't even know what to say. Yeah, obviously, lying about your age is not great. You shouldn't do that. There's a reason that it's like frowned upon for like certain ages to be dating. Um, And, like, if it really is meant to work out, you don't want your relationship to be built on a lie, so you just need to be honest. But let's keep reading. I probably wouldn't have entered into a relationship with a 22-year-old, a hookup maybe, but not a full-blown relationship. I feel like such an idiot. I didn't think I could be this stupid. I've dated many other women that were usually my age, up to just a few years younger than me. I know there's not a huge difference in number of years between 22 and 25, but 22 just makes me feel weird. Maybe she seemed a little immature for somebody in their mid-20s, but she has her own apartment, an actual job, she graduated college, and has been lying about the exact year this whole time. Yeah, she seemed a little younger than me, but I figured, I guess this is what it's like to date somebody 5 years younger. She doesn't seem like somebody who just graduated college. She presents herself like she has a little more experience than that and acts a little more mature. Or I thought she did. She says she wanted to tell me a bunch of times, but got scared once more time went on. She keeps apologizing and saying she loves me and doesn't want to lose me. I don't know why, but somehow I feel bad, like I've taken advantage of her or something. I know I shouldn't feel bad at all. I guess I should just get over that she's been lying about it for a year, like actively change info about her life to fit this lie. I still like who she is. By that I mean, even though I know her real age now, it doesn't change anything else that actually attracts me to her or what I like about her. It feels wrong to be like, just because you're 23, I don't like you anymore. It's the lie, I guess, that bothers me more, even though the age difference also makes me feel like a creep. Makes me wonder what else she told me was a lie. Was she even on birth control when she got pregnant? I know she was on it at the point in our relationship, but was she on it when she actually got pregnant? I wasn't doubting her at all before, but now I don't know. I'm not somebody who would ever jump to somebody baby trapping me. That's not something I ever thought would come out of my mouth. You have sexy time, you take the risk, and regardless of birth control, I played the part. But it just makes me feel so much more sick than I already felt over the idea of having a baby right now. I may not have a choice but to be involved with her for a very long time to come, and I'm just freaked out by all. Maybe I'm overreacting. I don't think it was malicious on her part, but I can't believe she kept it up for so long. What, if anything, could ever be done to build trust here again? Is there any way for this to move forward? The baby trapping thing, I know so many people. Like, it's actually astounding how many people I knew from like 20 to 23 that tried to baby trap their boyfriends. And a lot of them are just like acquaintances because I genuinely, like, if you are doing that type of stuff, I do not want to be friends with you. I'm sorry. I'm a huge believer in like your 5 closest friends are the people you like are representative of you. And so I hold like a really high standard for my friends. I have like a couple friends that I am really close with versus like a lot of friends just because I am that way. And that's something that obviously like I just cannot get on the same page about. Like, we are not baby trapping men. That's crazy. Not to mention evil. You should, and like wrong on your part. Like, you shouldn't have to baby trap them for them to want to be with you. You're always going to second guess if they want to be with you because they love you, if they're going to be with you because they have a child with you. But yeah, I honestly, unfortunately, wouldn't put it past her. I'm a huge girls girl, but I'm also a huge holding girls accountable girl. And yeah, I mean, if she lied about that, like, I could, I could see her baby trapping me. Well, unfortunately, like, I don't want to say it. Top comment does say, "Are you sure she's even actually pregnant?" And they also added, "Keeping her age from you was 100% malicious on her part." I don't think that malicious is the right word. I think that she didn't do it to be malicious. I think she did it out of like fear, which doesn't make it okay. Like, she still should not have done it. But I don't think she was just like, "Ooh, I'm gonna ruin his life and tell him the wrong age." Like, no, I think she just really liked him and was like, he won't be into me, so I'm gonna tell a silly little lie, not thinking it through because she was 22 and dumb. IOP did say, "I've seen 2 pregnancy tests, not watch her take them, and she has an ultrasound picture with her name on it. I was not present when that was done because she didn't even tell me she was pregnant yet." Okay. And then commenter 2 said, "This is not good. She actually went to an ultrasound without you present. She's been lying about her age and hiding a pregnancy. This is not someone you can trust. They're big lies and indicate she will lie to you in the future when she feels your reactions will be bad. I'm not sure, but isn't an ultrasound a little early at 10 weeks? I don't know. No, it's not. Yeah, I have friends that are pregnant currently, have been pregnant, and yeah, they had ultrasounds like very early. Like, I have a friend who's very, very early along and she already has an ultrasound. So 10 months or 10 weeks is not early. Um, but yeah, to go alone, I don't know. It sounds like she looks up to you in like a way where she like views you on a pedestal, maybe because you're older, or maybe because you are more established than she is, whatever the reason may be. But she looks up to you and has you on this pedestal, and she doesn't want to do anything to potentially lose you. So she's scared to tell you things. So then she just does it on her own, like going to the ultrasound. And waits to tell you and keeps things from you or lies to you because she wants to keep you happy, because she wants to keep you on this pedestal, which again does not make it okay. These are things she needs to talk to a therapist about. But that's just what it sounds like to me. I don't know. Let's read the update. It is from 1.5 weeks later. "She had a doctor appointment today and I went along. She already invited me before her real age came out and I had started doubting everything else she had told me. She's actually pregnant. According to her doctor, she's 12 weeks, 1 day pregnant, which lines up with what she told me before. Her due date is really December 20th, 2026. They didn't do an ultrasound today. Apparently there's an optional one that can be done around this point to look for abnormalities, but she doesn't have any risk factors, so her insurance doesn't cover it. It turns out she's actually still on her parents' insurance." Well, she is 23. "I was able to have a much more serious conversation with her about the age lie. I tried to explain that the issue isn't really the number itself at this point. At first, I was very focused on the number because many people think it's gross and they won't know or believe that I really didn't know her age for an entire year. Now it's really just that she maintained the lie for over a year. She let me believe she was older when we met, celebrated a fake birthday, and made up all these little micro lies to go along with the fake age, including when she graduated, etc. I want her to realize why I can't believe anything she tells me now. I don't want to doubt her, and I'm not one that's going to be having spicy time with somebody and immediately jump to, 'You're baby chopping me.' I hate when guys do that. I just can't believe anything, no matter how big or small. She tells me her favorite ice cream is chocolate, and I'm convinced that's a lie." She said she understands. She was only thinking about the present when she told me she was 25 and didn't think long term. She didn't know how to get out of the lot, and she realized she'd eventually have to tell me, but she couldn't figure out how. Maybe just being honest and saying all of that without me having to find out the truth from overhearing her conversation with her mom? She says she understands why I had trouble trusting her now and that she's willing to do whatever it takes to prove she isn't lying about anything else. I asked her to just come clean with anything that I don't know. Now's her chance. She told me this isn't the first time she's been pregnant. When she was 19 and in college, she got pregnant after a one-night stand. She took Plan B the next morning, but it didn't work, and she had an abortion shortly afterward. She said one of the reasons she's struggling so much with this pregnancy is that she doesn't want to be someone who has multiple abortions. She told me she's embarrassed that she's had 2 unintentional pregnancies and feels a lot of shame about it. She also insists she didn't get pregnant on purpose and that she doesn't really want to be pregnant now, but she wasn't as shocked to find out she was pregnant as she originally claimed to be. She wasn't using her birth control ring perfectly. She told me there were times when she forgot to replace it on schedule and sometimes wouldn't put a new one in until a day or two after she was supposed to. So while she was technically using birth control, she wasn't always using it correctly. That's the thing about birth control that, like, men and some women don't realize, especially women who are put on birth control super young, like myself. One, they don't explain the side effects. Like, one thing that I'm really, really angry about with birth control that I think more women need to talk about is um, how it affects your fertility, especially after long term. I was on it for 6 or 7 years, and I come from a long line of women who have fertility issues, which is why they typically put it on, like, give it to you when you're younger, because you have problems with your period, and they're like, here's this band-aid that's going to fix it, and they just give you birth control to normalize, like, your period. But it is just like a band-aid. As soon as you go off of it, you're going to go right back to the way you were before. But it affects, like, your fertility, especially if you're on it for that long. And that's just so upsetting as someone who was put on it super young. And I wasn't thinking about, like, whether I was going to have kids or not in 10 years, but I also wasn't even, like, it was not even discussed with me. Like, hey, however long you're on this, make sure that, if you want to have kids down the road, maybe keep an eye on that. And maybe I should have looked into the side effects more. Maybe, like, I should have had that conversation with my mom. But ultimately, I think that doctors should feel like they have more of a responsibility to share that information with you, no matter how young you are. Like, I have friends who went on birth control at like 9 or 10 years old. And it's like, this is a conversation we need to be having, if not with them, with their parents, because, like, you're taking that choice away from them when they're too young to even understand what it is. Like, I want to have kids so badly, and we haven't started trying yet, but I don't know if I can have kids, and that's terrifying because I took birth control for 6 or 7 years because it was a band-aid and it made me feel better when I wasn't actually, like, treating the issue. Like, I could have just gotten off the birth control and treated the issue from the beginning. And that's not always the case. Women's health is a whole other issue. Like, there needs to be way more research behind it. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but it just makes me so sad and so angry. Also with birth control, a lot of women get made fun of for having, like, alarms, or there's, like, jokes around it. Like, if you take the pill, you have to take it at the exact same time every day or it couldn't work. If you have the ring, you have to take it out at the exact same, period. If it moves and it's not perfectly, like, wedged correctly, it's not effective. IUDs can grow into, like, your uterus and you have to have emergency surgery. They can fall out. Is it emergency surgery? These are just general things. Like, obviously, I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm just talking about the risks associated. So take what you want, leave what you want. Obviously, I'm not like an OBGYN. I'm just someone who's done a lot of research on it because of fertility issues and my own issues and having to be on every birth control under the sun and not allowed to be on POPs, having to be on a certain type of birth control and, like, this and that and the other. So I know a lot about it. I also have a lot of friends who are on birth control or were on birth control. So, like, I know their stories. I have a couple friends that had babies that had IUDs in. Um, it's all a mess. And I think that, like, yeah, a lot of people, especially men, don't realize the horrors that are birth control and what it does to your body. And it's not 100% effective. You should still be, like, using multiple forms of, like, safety precaution if you don't want to get pregnant, and be smart about it. Look at me giving you guys, like, the birds and the bees talk. Like, guys. No, I'm kidding. It's just, I feel like it needs to be talked about more, and it's not. And women's health is so understudied, and it's so disheartening and disappointing. Like, did you guys know that women weren't even included in like medicine studies until the 90s? Yeah. Like, all this medicine that we take, that your mom was taking, that was like geared towards men and their bodies, which obviously work differently than ours. So I'm gonna keep reading, but yeah, I feel like men need to be more educated on birth control and the horrors that it is, because they need to also be um taking precautions and need to understand the importance of said precautions, and they need to be aware of like what they're signing up for, not in like a bad way, but it's like, if you are gonna take these risks, then you have to be willing to take these risks. You need to know what those risks are. Also, a lot of men don't realize that like you can only get pregnant during ovulation, and that's a whole thing. When I told the first time I told my boyfriend that, he genuinely didn't believe me. Like, he was like, "No, you just want a baby. Like, there's no way." And I'm like, "No, there's 4 cycles. There's four phases in the cycle. You ever heard of the moon? It's kind of like that. And then like when you ovulate, that's the only time, and like it's only like 1 or 2 days a month, and da da da, birds and bees." Um, so yeah, everyone would benefit from a birds and the bees chat and doing some research, but it does get me really upset, because it's like, you might have ripped away like my choice to have kids, and I was too young to even know it, but like I also kind of did it to myself, because I agreed to go on it, even though I was too young to understand. It just really bothers me. We're going to keep reading, though, because I'm going on a side tangent. She had been telling me she had absolutely no idea she could be pregnant, and was panicking because she didn't know whether she was 6 weeks pregnant or 4 months pregnant. The truth is that before she ever took the pregnancy test, she was already worried she might be pregnant because she knew she had messed up her birth control schedule. So if I'm counting correctly, that's at least 2 more lies. Should she have told you if you guys were actively engaging in sexy, spicy time? Yes. But would I say it's a lie? Like, yeah, I mean, I guess it is to say, like, I don't think, like, if she says, like, she was worried she might be pregnant, but she waited to tell you until after she had the pregnancy test, I wouldn't consider that a lie. Like, she just didn't want to worry you. And I think that's that gray area where I don't think that would be like necessarily like a malicious lie. But if she knew she messed up her birth control schedule, if you guys are actively like engaging in like spicy time often, yeah, she should have told you that, and at least been like upfront, like, "Hey, before we do this, I just want you to know, if you're not comfortable with like potentially this risk, or if you don't want to take some extra precautions, maybe we don't do this." But she is 23, and this is very much 23 behavior. Not that it's okay. Again, doesn't justify it. Her explanation for both was basically she was embarrassed. She said she didn't want to admit it, that she had made mistakes, and that the pregnancy might have happened because she screwed up. On one hand, I can see how what she's saying could be true. I genuinely think she lied about her age, and it went on too long, and she didn't know how to get out of it. Doesn't make it right, but I don't think there's any deeper reason for why she did it. I feel better knowing she's actually pregnant, yet not better all at the same time. I'm just glad to know she wasn't lying about being pregnant, because that would be entering deranged territory. Her real age doesn't even change all of the things I really like about her. I don't think she's some evil mastermind who's been plotting to trap me. I'm doing okay for myself, but there are better men out there to trap. What I see is someone who seems willing to lie when she's scared, embarrassed, or worried about how she'll be perceived. The problem is that those are exactly the situations where honesty matters most. Makes me wonder what her childhood looked like, and like if this is just her being 23, and if that's really impacting her, and like her fear to like not make OP want to leave, and she just wants to like keep him, or if like there's some deep-rooted trauma. Again, not that it's okay, but because she's coming from a place of like fear and not just like malice, I really wonder why. I still care about her. Finding out she's 23 instead of 26 didn't suddenly make me stop caring about her as a person. Now, she seems pretty set on having this baby, and I'm not one of those stay together for the kids type of people, but I keep thinking that if all this stuff about her age hadn't come up, I wouldn't be making moves to leave her. Our relationship had been great and had already been moving towards getting more serious before any of this happened. I guess now I'm trying to figure out whether this person is someone who made one bad decision that snowballed out of control, or dishonesty is simply how she deals with difficult situations. At this point, I'm less interested in whether her lies were understandable and more interested in what I should be looking for going toward. If someone has a pattern of lying when they're embarrassed, scared, or worried about being judged, What signs indicate they're actually working on that behavior rather than just apologizing for it? I realize I might be an idiot for giving this a try and not breaking up with her immediately, but I just don't want to go into it being completely blind, deaf, and dumb. He keeps saying, like, we've only known each other for a year, but I know people that get married sooner than that. I'm like, whatever timeline works for you, works for you. Josh and I have been together for 5 years and we're not married. But I'm one of those when you know people, and I feel like you should know after a year or have a good idea. Like, is this someone I see a future with or not? I'm not saying like get married tomorrow, but is this someone I see a future with? All of these issues coming up do make me like, I can understand wanting to pause, but also like it sounded like you had doubts before the year. And a comment does say her age is really showing with all these lies and mistakes. Exactly. That's what I was thinking. But top comment says, just a nitpicky note. This is not pathological lying. This is a run-of-the-mill, goal-oriented lying. A pathological liar would come into work with wet hair and lie about it raining outside instead of saying they washed their hair that morning. They tell lies with no real goal or purpose. The girlfriend here lied for a reason, a very stupid reason, we all agree on that, and kept adding to the lie, but it was all in service of a goal. So, not pathological. Okay. Yeah, if you've ever met a pathological liar, you would be like, yeah, no, I agree. Because they be lying for no reason. And she had a reason. Whether it's justified or not is not really the question. I think that obviously they need to have a lot of tough conversations. But that is the final update. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. I love you so much. If you're able to comment what you thought of the stories, if you have any opinions on them, I definitely want to hear them down below. But that's pretty much it. I upload every single Sunday and Wednesday, and I will see you guys later. Bye.